Hello, I'm Thomas Hare, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the second event in our fall seminar series, today created by the PDMI's e-commerce council, Has E-commerce Replaced Retail? We welcome all of you to today's event, PDMI members and non-members alike. If you're not a member but are attending today, we'd love to have you consider joining the association. There's no better way to support the mission of the PDMI than joining and sharing your voice in the direction of the industry. In the handouts tab of your control panel, you'll find our PDMI membership brochure. I urge you to download it, flip through it, and contact any of our team members should you desire more information. One more housekeeping note. The group will be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of today's session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the webinar. You know, brick and mortar retailers are continuing to struggle in the face of an array of issues: theft, declining sales results, and difficult PR, to name a few. More and more often, consumers will go out to grab an item, but the idea of going shopping seems to be on the decline. In this vacuum, e-commerce has continued to expand its reach and power as consumers can turn to the web to get the products they need. Today, these members of the PDMI's e-commerce council will talk about this shift and how performance marketers should position themselves. Let's meet them. Eileen Fraser, President and CEO at Intelligent Handshake. Ranjit Mulgaonkar, Founder and CEO of Flatworld Group. And our moderator and Chair of the PDMI e-commerce council, Gregory Silvano, CEO of Buyist. Thank you all for joining us. Let's get started. Greg, take it away.
Thank you very much, Tom. So let's start with this. I think e-commerce has always been important in D2C, right? So the PDMI members, e-commerce is not something new where it's, there's a big shift from retail and what do we do about e-commerce? It's always been a big part of it, whether it's Amazon or Shopify, your own existing site. Retail though, right? So why do we care that retail is struggling? Right? Why does that matter? We've been buying television commercials. We've been driving people to our own properties to purchase that product and shipping that product out. So I'll start with Eileen. Retailers are struggling. So why do we care that that's happening first? And then we'll get into how this affects maybe, things today and things moving forward.
Sure, Gregory. Well, retail was always one of the three legs of the stool for a lot of my clients, where you have a direct response introduction often, building demand, educating the consumer with the goal of releasing that product to retail for the higher volume sales. The third leg of the stool being the Amazon piece. So you had three legs. So when you launched a product, you had the promise of both the direct-to-consumer sales, you have the promise of retail orders and retail sell-through, and then of course there was the Amazon picking up on all the media activity that you have on the table.
So the three legs, just to recap them. So the first leg is your own property, right? So your own e-commerce site. The second leg would have been retail, right? So that's a brick and mortars, you're in Walmart, you're in CVS, Walgreens, something like that. And the third one would have been Amazon.
Right, and they're not always mutually exclusive. In other words, typically you would start in DRTV and build, like I said, educate the consumer, build an audience so that when you turn it over to retail, retail is like, okay, they've got sell-through. They don't have to worry about, pushing that product through the people that walk through the store. You have demand built up, and it wasn't always mutually exclusive. DRTV and your direct sales often commingled during the time that retail was busy. Sometimes it dropped away because you couldn't afford the media, but most of the time retailers began to actually like the fact that we had DRTV supporting the products because it drove sell-through. And in the old days, I'll talk because I've been around for a while. In the old days, retail used to hate DR. Oh, you're competitive. You're taking sales from us. And then they began to realize that if they didn't have TV support, that the retailer was suffering, and therefore they began to realize that, oh my gosh, if you're actually spending money on TV, great, because it's going to help my sell-through. And it's fine that the ratios used to be, in the real old days, 1 sale in DR and 10 on retail. I think it kind of reduced to like 1 to 5, but still, there's a much higher ratio of volume of transactions at the retail level if there was some DRTV and some direct sales support. And there are lots of strategies about how to keep all the channels moving forward, but I don't think that's about today's call. So really the retail component, when they pulled back about a year and a half ago, they stopped placing orders to DRTV type clients. That took out one of the legs, right? So now,
leg, right? I mean, that's not a minor leg.
No, it's not a minor leg. So now you have, now have to survive between, not a lot of retail, maybe a little bit of retail, much heavier direct to consumer, be it on your own website or be it now through Amazon or other channels. And a lot of marketers have looked to, how to push that direct sale, be it with influencers or however they can push that, trying to take up the territory that retail shrunk. If you think of a pie chart, all of a sudden retail, pull back. And
did it drop back that much? Like, is the leg gone, or is it a little shorter than it used to be, or is it, what is it really like? If you were the type of product, or you were the type of marketer, and had a product that was sitting in Walmart, how different is 2023 Q4 to maybe 2020 Q4, 2019 Q4 in terms of retail? Is it half of what it used to be, or is it gone?
I think it's less than half, but I don't have hard numbers, so I apologize for that.
Yeah.
But the orders would be coming through in like June, July for the fall, right? They didn't happen. So, and I'm talking in general terms here. I'm not talking about any specific retailer or any specific client. I'm just saying in general, all of a sudden, the expectation of a retail order coming through to offset your cost of investment in a new product line and your inventory supply, right? Retailers were caught cold a year and a half ago when they had built up, expectation of inventory to say, hey, we're going, we'll this next layer will come to play, and all of a sudden didn't come to play. So a year and a half ago, you had, inventory assumptions about retail, and now you're stuck with a lot of inventory, and you're stuck with how to get rid of it. So now marketers have pulled back the expectation of retail, but it doesn't make the day any easier, because now you have a smaller leg in retail. There's still some retail, but it's a smaller leg.
So Ranjit, let me ask you, you have deep experience with Amazon. Is this as simple as, okay, well, brick and mortar has gone down, Amazon's gone up? Easy.
The Amazon can't quite replace the volume that you're doing on brick and mortar. You have to do a lot more than just throwing a product on Amazon. And the typical reaction is, hey, I'm listed my product on Amazon. As long as you're running DR, you will see some sales. As soon as you stop your DR, you have to push the product to get the product searched, not just by name, but by application, right? Typically what happens is, if you're running a DR and there's a product XYZ, I just go to Amazon, type XYZ, it shows up because it's a perfect match. But if I'm looking for, laser lights or, vacuum accessory to clean my dryer, I don't have the name. And that's where I think it becomes interesting that if you're searching on Amazon, you need to show up. Now, people say Amazon because Amazon is the biggest gorilla, right? But don't forget, Walmart, Target have also launched a model similar to Amazon. It's called a marketplace model. So Amazon has basically two sides. One side either buys the product from you wholesale, just like you would sell to Walmart, and then they resell it. The other side is they don't buy the product from you, but they will allow you to list your product on Amazon. So product inventory, the product ownership stays with you. Amazon is essentially just doing the marketing, and they give you all the tools to promote your product through advertising and doing search optimization and doing inventory replenishment. In case of Amazon, they also allow you to do using Amazon fulfillment. It's fulfillment by Amazon, right? So then they give you all the tools, they give you a platform, but essentially it's up to you how you surface. So Walmart launched their marketplace, massive investment, hundreds and hundreds of engineers in San Francisco trying to catch up with Amazon. Target launched their marketplace as well. So I think one thought I had, and I've seen this with other companies, where we would, instead of buying the product, because even the retailers don't want to buy a bunch of product and sit on it. They want to buy only product that is going to sell. So they will say, hey, why don't you join our marketplace, put your product on marketplace, we'll monitor the sales. So as soon as the sales reaches a certain threshold, they say, yeah, this product is proven, people are buying it, they're liking it, they have good reviews, we'll take it in the store. Almost like a try before you buy kind of concept. But in Amazon, if you do well on Amazon, if you optimize everything, it can actually generate significant volume. We've seen that for many, many years with many different brands.
Does it happen on Amazon simply because you are there, or are you buying ads and pushing traffic to it?
Yeah, so most novice brands will just put a listing. Anybody can put a listing. High school student can just fill out a form, upload pictures, and you're there. The challenge is who's going to find you, right? So if you want to get found, you have to advertise on Amazon. You have to pay to advertise on Amazon using Amazon's tools. There are many different programs. Sponsored ads is the most common one. And then what you do is you advertise using certain keywords, and you keep refining and refining and refining. And once you know that these 7 keywords work for your product, then you have to go back and you have to rewrite your content. So now you can be found in a natural search versus paid search. So paid search is really the fuel to get the engine started. But if you keep optimizing your product, the description, you have an A+ page, you have storefront, all of these different things. And then if you have a recurring sale product, you put subscribe and sale. If you have multiple different variations, you create variation family. So it's a complicated, most people don't realize how complex Amazon is, and it's all automated. That means there's nobody I can pick up a phone and say, hey, Jeff, can you help me? It's all automated robot, and they're now adding AI agents. So the interaction with you and Amazon is through AI bots until they give you somebody to talk to. So it's a complex process, requires not only the subject matter expertise, but it requires a lot of dedicated effort, a lot of gray hair.
So let's talk about the skill set a little bit. And this isn't anything we discussed when we were prepping for the call yesterday. So I think in the old world of DRTV, you had that 3-legged stool, retail was important, and there were resources at marketing companies and these brands for dealing with retail relationships. They knew the Walmart buyer, things like that. So there was a skill set that really centered around retail. I'm going to assume that skill set is not the same skill set you need for Amazon, right? It's not. It's a very different type of relationship, and maybe no relationship, as you just said. So a bunch of questions really come to mind with this. One is, when it comes to Amazon, is this a bunch of work that you have to do at the very beginning, and it's a huge investment of time and potentially money, and it's a different, maybe you have to bring on people to be able to do this kind of stuff? Because you said you have to refine and refine and refine, and you're always kind of checking where you are in the search results and checking that maybe the ads that you're running on Amazon. So it's not really a set it and forget it thing. It's not like you get on the shelves of Walmart and you're good, right? This is a continuous process. Is that a fair assessment?
It is a continuous process, and it does require dedicated resources. I mean, typically, the person or the team that's managing retail relationship that don't have the technical chops to get under the hood in Amazon and fine tune the 5,000 buttons that you have, and to get to a point where not only your product is visible through advertising, but during the natural search, you're getting a better and better and better ranking. So it is iterative process. I tell our customers, because everybody wants to make the $1 million in the first month, and I said that then talk to somebody else, because it is going to take you, up to 4 weeks to get everything set up, another 4 to 6 weeks to kind of get the ball rolling and understand what needs to be optimized. And then ongoing basis, you have to optimize everything. You have to look at your reviews, you have to look at your product reviews, you have to look at your return performance, because what Amazon done is they build this massive algorithm that looks at everything about you and your product and the consumer experience. And everything has a score, and all of those scores go in a blender, and then based on that blender score, Amazon says, okay, you're going to be on the first page, because you know what, you got perfect inventory, you got 5-star reviews, you never run out of inventory, your listings are perfect, these are the search words that work. And when somebody searches for a search word, you're on page 1. Page 1 is the money, right?
So, but how quickly could that change? You're on page 1, everything's great. Is that going to change in a month or a day?
it can change fairly quickly because somebody else wants to be on a page, whether they have a better review, they have a better price, they have a better fulfillment method, they have brands, so they have A+ pages storefront, they have videos, right? So it's a competition. It's like you can't just get on page, a #1 spot and sit there. So it's a constant marathon that goes on forever. So that's why I think the resources are important, because you have a content resource, you might have a graphic resource, you have somebody who understands how to fine tune all of the other processes, including inventory projections, fulfillment by Amazon, returns, all that stuff. You have operations and finance aspect, because you have to see what Amazon is charging you for. It's all automated, right? But you still have to go and say, hey, you lost 30 units of my inventory last month. I need a refund. File a ticket, right? So it does require, that's why my business exists, because what we do is we provide all of those things. Instead of you hiring 5 full-time people and your annual cost is $400,000 or $500,000, including the benefits, you're paying us fraction of it, because we have the team that is working with multiple customers, right? So that's the benefit, not only the expertise, but the cost. But yeah, it does require, in one of the companies I worked before, they're in the performance-driven marketing. We actually build a team internally. We said, okay, we need to build a team that has these 4 or 5 expertise, because it was a large company with lots of products. They could afford to actually build a team and pay the team to be there in the house. But most companies, are looking for somebody else to do it, because they don't want to spend, that kind of money on having a full-time staff.
All right, so thank you. Eileen, if you brought on a new client today that has a physical product where retail would have been the end game, right? So figure 5-6 years ago, what would you expect them to say about Amazon for their D2C campaign? Would they probably already be on Amazon? Would they expect it to be outsourced? Would they expect, hey, let's just put it on Amazon and it's a quick 5-minute process and then magically things are sold on Amazon? How do you think many marketers today in 2023, about to be 2024, how they think of Amazon? It used to be it was a competitor, right? Instead of a destination. How's that kind of that thinking or that evolved?
Well, you actually have to be on Amazon, otherwise you're not considered to be a legitimate marketer out there, right? So you need Amazon up early, and let's say you're doing traditional DR, whether or not it's TV or online, people will go to Amazon and search for you to see more information about you, even if they buy.
Well, they might look for reviews.
Right.
Yeah.
So Amazon is a critical part of any product launch. Now, Amazon is a beneficiary of all the money that you spend in the other channels. I have to push back a little bit. Amazon is not just the golden child because they're Amazon. They've actually benefited so much from every media dollar spent every place else that creates the demand. Just like you needed demand in retail for sell-through, Amazon lives off of the fact that we spend a lot of money in a lot of different media channels. So the more you spend on TV, you can now calculate, TV spend X number of sales on my website, Y number of sales in Amazon. You can see it. If you stop the media, Amazon goes flat. So there's a definite relationship. You build that into your model because you want those Amazon sales. I'm not against Amazon, but I know Amazon likes it when you send traffic directly from your own website, which seems counterintuitive to me. I don't like sending traffic to Amazon.
Why?
But Amazon rewards you if you send new traffic in directly from your website. They also reward you, in their algorithms based on the fact that you have a lot of people looking for your product because you've created that demand. So it's if I do a great job in creating demand for a product line, Amazon's, takes all the credits, kind of, it's like, oh, hey, look what we did. It's a combination.
Yeah, a couple of just thoughts. I worked with companies where we had this intense conversation in the executive rooms, like, should we sell it on Amazon or not sell it? Should we just say not available on Amazon? And we did a lot of A/B testing on Amazon, off Amazon, on Amazon, off Amazon, so that we would see the DR sales would just go through the roof because we shut down Amazon. Doesn't happen. It increases some, but not to compensate what you're losing on Amazon. So my favorite saying used to be, I mean, if you are a brand, you got to be on Amazon. But when people were not quite getting it, I would say, hey, there's a party where everybody's wearing, tuxedos, free wine, all you can eat, amazing location. But you want to sit at home and watch your black and white TV and eat popcorn. So that's what happens if you don't want to go to Amazon, because that's where the party is. Yeah, just one, it just happened yesterday, a kind of significant announcement. Facebook and Instagram and Amazon have partnered. And the announcement is, if you're on a Facebook or if you're on Instagram, you would click on it and it'll take you to the detail page. And then you have to click another click to go to buy the product. What Amazon has done now is, if I'm looking up for a product, at a product on Instagram and Facebook has all the information, I don't want to do double click. I just want to click and buy. So what they have done is now they shortened the entire process. If I click on Facebook, I'm in the shopping cart ready to check out. I don't even see the product detail page. I think that's going to be significant, announcement. But I think, Eileen, you're right. Amazon likes when you drive traffic from other external sources, because what they have done in the recent years, they have actually changed their bestseller rating algorithm to take that into an account, like how much external traffic is coming to Amazon. And if you're driving more traffic, you're going to get brownie points and you're going to surface higher in the search.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a little like a teeter-totter, to move your product line up as much as you can afford to spend.
So I'm going to, Ranjit, we're going to go back to something you discussed earlier, which was marketplaces, but I'm going to go through Eileen on this question. So we were talking about Amazon, that a client of yours may come to you, and certainly the word Amazon is going to come up, right? That word is going to leave the lips of your customer, that Amazon exists. They know it exists, and they know it's an important part of their D2C campaign, probably going to be an important part of their D2C campaign. Does that same client say, and we have to be on Walmart.com and we have to be on Target.com? Does that probably doesn't come up in the same conversation, right? They're not at that level of instant awareness that Amazon is when you're dealing with a D2C campaign and e-commerce. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's a fair statement at this point in time.
All right, so over to Ranjit. You brought up earlier marketplaces, right? We just kind of glossed over it. We didn't get into real details here, but it's a big deal, right? These are maybe not today at the end of 2023, Amazon competition where, Amazon's looking in the rearview mirror, scared that they're catching up. Probably not. However, Walmart.com, Target.com, you could probably list a bunch of others. They're real destinations. They also have people walking the aisles that if you can get your products on those marketplaces, you're going to sell products, right?
No, it's true. I think Amazon, everybody talks about Amazon the way we used to talk about eBay way back when, right? They have the biggest market share. They have the most number of sellers. They've been, when I worked at Amazon 15 years ago, that's when we we're launching all of these marketplaces. Walmart came in later on when they realized that the marketplace has some advantages, and I'll walk through why a retailer would want to launch a marketplace. And then Target came. So Target Plus is a marketplace. So you can either sell to Target wholesale, go in their stores, or you can just be on the e-commerce site, or you can go to the marketplace where you list the product, but actually they don't buy the product. They will take commission on every sale. So it's essentially they're doing the marketing. They're giving you a space for your store in their mall.
Right. You're getting in front of the customers who are already on Walmart.com.
They give you the traffic, they give you the tool, they give you opportunity to advertise, and then if you do well, potentially you can go in the retail.
And this is for anybody? I could go up right now and do this?
You have to be, so every marketplace has their own rules, right? So for Target is a private marketplace. That means you apply, you fill out information, they have a standard form, you fill it out. They will ask you about your product, your sales, your distribution channels, your company information, the revenue, etc. And then if they like what they see, they will invite you to get to the marketplace where you get an account, and now that's where you can upload your product images, other information. That's where you can also run your advertising program. Two announcements that besides the one that I talked about, Meta partnering with Amazon. The other huge announcement that happened last week, and actually hoping that PDMI will have an article that I wrote published, is Shopify decided to launch their own marketplace. Shopify is the largest e-commerce platform. They have 4 million stores worldwide, 2.5 million stores in the US. So you can imagine 2.5 million stores times, just take average 20 or 50 products, that many products they have access to. They're all individual stores, right? So what they've done is they've actually launched a marketplace, and the marketplace now you can access as a consumer. I can just go to the Shopify marketplace and say I'm looking for shoes, and I get shoes from all these 800 vendors, all on the same page. Obviously there is a ranking algorithm there. I can buy shoe from one vendor, then I say, I need socks. I buy socks. I may need a tie. There may be 3 different vendors that are providing each of those products. But when I go to my shopping cart, it's a single shopping cart. I said click and buy. In the back end, Shopify will now figure out how to disperse those orders to individual stores. It's a big announcement. I think if you have a Shopify store, I highly recommend you jump on the Shopify marketplace. It's going to give you incremental revenue. Will it replace what you're doing on Amazon or retail? No. But will it give you incremental revenue, 5%, 10%? Absolutely.
So here's a question. So Shopify, they got in Amazon's crosshairs with their fulfillment push, right? A few years ago, I think it started right before COVID, and they've since kind of, moved away from that. Is this putting them right back in the crosshairs of a $1.5 trillion company?
I wouldn't call it crosshair, but yeah, it is a competition because it's a model that for years they say, well, it will never be a marketplace. We'll always go to Amazon and other marketplaces. They did launch the marketplace. It was a surprise to everybody in the industry, including me. But I always thought, for the years, I said, why doesn't Shopify make their own marketplace? They already have access to all the products. They have the listing. They have a shopping cart. They have the consumers coming to individual stores, just put them all in one bucket. And finally, they did it. So that was an interesting one. The other point I wanted to talk about, the other retailers, like we talked about the big ones.
Yeah.
But what about Macy's? What about Saks Fifth Avenue? What about Nordstrom? What about Michaels? What about Hudson Bay in Canada? These are all traditional retailers with brick-and-mortar stores. They have the online store, but they all have marketplace. I think most people don't know that Macy's and Nordstrom have a marketplace component to their e-commerce.
And it's the same kind of thing. You can get your own products in their e-commerce platform.
Yes. So what we'll have to do is obviously Macy's will decide if they want your product. But if they do, then they provide you a platform. You upload your products in that platform, and then Macy's e-commerce site or Nordstrom e-commerce site will suck all those products and put them in the appropriate categories. They collect the sale, they collect the money, they send you the order, you fulfill the order, and you get paid. So the marketplace, I think, I think every major retailer will need to add a marketplace. And I think I'll tell you the reason for it. It's very simple. No inventory cost. I'm not buying anything from anybody. You are just listing your product, right? Zero inventory cost. Most of the times it's self-service. That means you are doing all the work as a brand, right? You go on Amazon. Amazon doesn't help you build the pages. You build them. They don't help you do the advertising. You do it, right? So you're doing all the work.
And the end consumer could not care less. They don't care. They're on the site. They're searching for a product. They find the product. They don't care who's shipping it.
Because it's Amazon. They're buying it from Amazon, right? So they know that the credit card information is secure. If they're a Prime member and if the product is on Prime, they're going to get it in 2 days. Returns are managed and supported by Amazon. So it's a risk-free proposition. I think all these marketplaces that I mentioned, Macy's, Saks, Nordstrom, they're all trying to mimic a model where the consumer experience buying directly a product from, let's say, Nordstrom versus buying a product from a third party who's selling on Nordstrom marketplace is almost the same. But then it doesn't matter. If the experience is the same, what does it matter?
Sure. So Eileen, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, a couple things. In the example of Nordstrom third-party product, does the third party get the name of the buyer?
Literally, I wrote that down as he was speaking. Yeah,
I would say most marketplaces will not give you the some is different. So Amazon used to give you first name, last name, address when you're shipping a product to them. Even if you look at your order reports, no longer only say Greg, it'll only say Eileen. Other marketplaces will, like Walmart and Target, will say it's my customer. They're buying it from my marketplace, so I'm going to keep all that information to myself. You get the sale, you don't get the customer. I think that's one of the fights we have in the DR world. Hey, we're losing customers, but the question is, you're losing 5 customers versus you're getting 50 sales. Which one is more important to you, right?
I understand. Just
so
curious.
Every marketplace has a different policy, but I would say most of them will not give you customer information, because imagine you're buying products. I buy 2, 3, 4 products on Amazon every week. If I start getting emails and direct mail from everybody that I bought the product, I'll have to find a new house because I won't have room to keep all the direct mail. So they basically said, we don't want to spam the consumer. We will reach out to them on your behalf. So if you're searching for a product and don't buy it, Amazon will send you suggestions, like here are the products that you might like. But they don't allow you to communicate with the consumer in a marketing sense. Now, for a customer service issue, you can actually communicate with the customer, provide them additional information, but you can't send them direct mail.
I got that, the returns and all that, that's going to be normal. But the burden is still on the marketer to create the demand and create somebody looking for their product or advertising it within the marketplace.
Yes, a bulk of the responsibility is to the marketer, but the marketplaces like Amazon, they have traffic, right? You imagine you can't generate that kind of traffic, and they have other things like Prime and etc. So from a retailer's perspective, yeah.
Hold on 1 second, Ranjit. Eileen, did you have a second question?
I think actually.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing about a marketplace is it's a person's, taking the action to seek a product. Our intelligent handshake technology would look at traffic on a marketplace and identify to that traffic the best product that they should consider. So the business right now is product centric. Intelligent handshake is consumer centric. So while you're in the marketplace, Intelligent Handshake would recommend a product, like you've got posters behind you of movies, hey, Gregory, how about a new one? But basically, Intelligent Handshake is looking at traffic and the value of that traffic based on next greatest opportunity. So I just want to lay that out there to Ranjit. In terms of marketplace opportunities, there's another place for technology to take it even higher.
So let's stick on the technology thing for just a second. The attribution has to be a problem here, right? The attribution's always been a problem with Amazon. You don't know when somebody ends up on Amazon, maybe you drove them to Amazon, you don't really know if they bought it. This does kind of expand that problem, right? It's a lot of marketplaces that have a lot of people and a lot of eyeballs, and someday, whether that's 2024 or 2030, right? Someday, a lot of sales for a D2C campaign could be on these different marketplaces, and that attribution problem is going to become a bigger problem. Would that be a fair assessment?
I think so, because now you have these enclosed media environments where you can track from one click down to the final sale, and I was kind of take a deep breath with that because there's so many interactions. I always look at every moment as a moment for sale. I don't try to push, although I understand top of funnel, I try to push for the sale at every moment. So, and I know like on your platform, Gregory, we work really hard to get that conversion, that we pay so much attention to that, whether or not it's a marketplace environment where you have hundreds of thousands of SKUs, it's the same. The challenge is I spent $1 today in media, what did it get me? And right now we do blend our MER or ROAS, whatever term key metric you want to use for that term. We look at dollar spent, and now how many sales did I get and where did they come from? You have to look at a blended P&L or you're never going to make it. You can't go channel by channel. And now with the marketplaces, to me, it's just kind of extending that Amazon piece out a little bit further. So maybe you get, for every X number of sales on Amazon, you get Y on Walmart and Y and X on Macy's. But it does make the attribution really difficult. And I think at at the end of the day, we have to be more global in our look and not so myopic that we have to measure every single interaction, because that's exhaustive. I'm sorry, but it takes way too much time and energy to say, okay, I touched him 10 times. I don't care if you touched him 10 times or 1 time. How many sales did you get? If you follow the money, I think it kind of normalizes it out.
Got it. All right. Thank you. Ranjit, back to marketplaces for something, because you said something earlier that I think is super interesting, that the try before you buy, right?
Yeah.
So it's that, you could get into the marketplace, let's say on Walmart, and if it performs well, Walmart's watching that and you could get into retail. Is that that's realistic? That could happen?
No, it actually not only can happen. In my previous role, it did happen. We had a shoe manufacturer that had a bunch of brands and came on the marketplace, doing extremely well on marketplaces. And our retail team then reached out and said, we need to bring you into the store. Actually, it does happen. Don't know how often it happens. Obviously, it requires you to be successful. If you're successful, then there is no risk on the other side for buying the product. I mean, one of the reasons that the retailers are launching the marketplace is, beside no inventory cost and self-service, they can now extend the offer. So they can say offer different colors and sizes that they don't normally carry, because it's long tail sale. It's not like the most popular sizes. They can actually add new categories. In my previous role, we added new categories like electronics. For apparel focus, home and apparel focus retailer, we added electronics. We added health and fitness, anything that we believe are adjacent categories. And then the other interesting thing about the marketplace is you can actually add international products. I mean, we had products from Turkey and Japan that are being shipped, unique products, right? Customers are willing to buy them. So you can expand geographically as well, because you're not buying the inventory. You're just making sure that the order and shipping and return flow is in place.
How different are the rules amongst the marketplaces? Nordstrom, Saks, Walmart, Target. Is this full-time job of somebody trying to manage logins and adhere to the guidelines and policies and rules? I mean, is it wild west at this point?
No, I think what has happened is pretty much everybody's trying to mimic the Amazon's model, because they're the most mature marketplace, right? They've gone through a lot of iterations to come to a point where, I mean, I always tell people, if Amazon's doing it, just do it. Don't even think about it. They already spent 10 years and millions of dollars perfecting it. Yeah. So why try to redo it? I don't know about all the marketplaces, but typically, Amazon, Walmart, Target are similar rules, similar high-level rules. Your commission rate might change. There may be some policies that are different, but I don't think it's a wild west. However, if you're on multiple marketplaces, you do have to manage each of them. Again, you need dedicated resource and expertise to make sure they're not dropping a ball. Because if you get, for example, if an Amazon, if you get suspended, it's a death sentence. That means you can never sell on Amazon again. And you could easily get suspended if you're not paying attention to your customer emails, your return rate, a variety of things. So I think the marketplace really presents a great opportunity for a brand. If you're a brand, you should look at all the marketplaces you can be on, because it's incremental revenue, right? And you're trying to fill up the gap from the third stool, which is retail. So you need to beef up the second leg of the stool, which is Amazon, now other marketplaces as well.
So I'm going to ask one last question. I'm going to go to Eileen first on this, and Tom, just so you know, it's going to be the last question. This is look into the crystal ball type thing. I'm a firm believer, the rules, things don't change forever. Everything is just a pendulum swing one way or the other, right? And, right now the pendulum is swung towards a problem with retail, certainly a decline in retail. How long is that going to last? Is that some retailers are still doing well. It's not, it's literally not everybody. Is this probably a permanent change? Permanent in terms of, as far ahead as we can look? Is this a 5-year problem, a 10-year problem, or is it gonna swing back and retail will come back, guns blazing someday? Eileen, I'll let you go with that.
Yes, I think it is a long-term problem with retail, and it goes to the economies of the cost per square foot and how much revenue you can make per square foot in retail. And it's harder and harder to, I believe, make those metrics work. Now, what we've done with Intelligent Handshake is we've helped the direct marketer to survive by lifting revenue as on an average of 25%. With that lift in revenue, they have a life. They have an opportunity now to drive sales wherever they can get those sales, in retail, in Amazon, or on marketplaces. So to me, the golden egg is the direct to consumer. That direct to consumer must be protected. I do not think people wake up today and say, I want to go to Macy's just to shop around. I guess maybe I'm not the norm, but I'm too busy to just go wandering through, right? I'm very purposeful. It's much easier for me to shop online, to go purposefully for what I want. I can do it at 10 o'clock on Sunday night. I'm also concerned from a safety standpoint. We didn't talk about this today, but in retail, there is a safety concern, and that is when you have these flash mobs that go in and are stealing products, and you're standing there. It's not a great place to be. The last time I was in a mall, the only store that was busy was the Apple store.
Yeah.
So I do think that it's a long-term problem. You saw a mall in San Francisco closing down with Nordstrom, I think it was the anchor mall. So I do think that it is a long-term problem with retail, because I don't think the metrics are there anymore. I work every day to protect that golden egg of the ability to transact with a consumer in the most efficient way, because that is life, even for Amazon and even for the marketplace. If the basic product is not good enough and doesn't have an opportunity, I don't care how much you spend, it's going to be a tough nut to crack. So I'm happy that there are other avenues like marketplaces, because that adds additional channels for me. But I still believe that initial product value and that initial direct to consumer relationship has to be that golden nut that starts it.
I agree. Ranjit, same question to you. Is this a permanent problem, do you think, or permanent is longer than a few years?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't find my crystal ball. I'm looking for it. But, I do agree with Eileen. I think it's a long-term problem. I don't know what would change for people to start going to the malls again and buying products, because for all the reasons we talked about, the selection, price comparison, two-day delivery, all that stuff. But I think when Amazon closes their own store, so Amazon had opened 2 physical stores to sell clothing, 30,000 square foot, big brouhaha, right? And they just shut those down. When Amazon closes the retail stores that they were going to open more, then the writing's on the wall. What we said was some retailers are doing really well, and I was trying to figure out why. Costco, Walmart, Home Depot, Target, Lowe's, they're doing okay.
Yeah.
But I think, on the other hand, JCPenney, Bed Bath Beyond, David's Bridal, they're all not doing okay. So I don't know if it's either retailer not jumping into the next innovative idea and jumping on the e-commerce, and do all the other things that make e-commerce easy and connect all of that to the retailer, or it's just a category. David's Bridal is a great example. Wedding gowns and wedding suits, etc.
Yeah.
COVID may have had impact on it, right? Nobody was doing the big weddings during the COVID. I don't know.
I've had a belief ever since Amazon bought Whole Foods, right? And I was thinking, why would they buy Whole Foods? And it was the epiphany was it's a place where you have to go to buy it, right? If you want to go shopping for food, for the most part, you want to go to a physical place to get that food, right? You don't necessarily trust, or at least at the time, there wasn't a lot of trust in ship me my food. And you brought up Home Depot, because that's the other one. When I think about where do I go purposefully to go buy something, the only other one for me that's left is Home Depot. I have to go to Home Depot to go get something. Whether it's something for the lawn, some plants, or something, Home Depot is still that kind of destination. And most other things, I can buy it online, and I choose to do so. So one of those, my crystal ball, Amazon's going to buy Home Depot for that same reason. It's like it's the final location that you have to go get it.
Yeah, and I have to go to Costco every 2 weeks, otherwise I get withdrawals.
Well, they have the little, what are they called? The not the appetizers, the samples, free samples. That's it. All right, so Tom, I think we're good. If there are any questions, I think we're going to be right on time.
Yeah. We have a few here. Nice job, everybody. Well done. Really interesting conversation. There's so much to think about in this space. Here's the first one: as retail sales are shifting from brick and mortar to the marketplace environment, Amazon, Walmart, etc. Are you seeing media budget transitioning from TV to online, or does TV still do a good job of driving online sales?
Well, I'll jump in on that. Online does not compare to TV. TV is going to drive sales no matter what channel it's in. Online's a lot harder to get the mass traction. It's still a TV environment.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that as fact. I look at the campaigns that are on Buyist, and to this still today, the biggest campaigns that are active right now are still TV driven.
Yeah.
And I think the online media budgets that I have seen are a lot smaller than the TV budgets, you know, and they can be more targeted, but they're a lot smaller.
Yeah. Yep. And traditional TV too. It's not even that it's, you know, the digital TV platforms. It's still traditional TV. It's got legs.
All right, next one. Probably for Ranjit. What are the key factors a marketer needs to focus on to optimize their page ranking with Amazon's algorithm?
Great question.
There are about 30 individual pieces that when we optimize a product on Amazon, there are about 30 of them that we look at. It looks at the product. I can't give you all 30, but I'll go through however many I remember. And if you give me your email address, I can send you a slide that talks about it. So you start from the product description. The product description has the title and the one paragraph description, bullet points. Under the hood, you have a whole bunch of search terms that you can put in. What is the product? Is it a holiday product? Is it for male, female, etc.? Then you have product images and videos, high quality images with potentially, if it's depending on the product, potentially showing some infographic on top of it. Then fulfillment method. If you're fulfilling it yourself or using Amazon fulfillment, we always recommend using the FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, because you get Prime members buying that product. Prime members typically buy twice as much product than the non-Prime members. So we always recommend the fulfillment method. Price is important. Similar product, if your product is twice as expensive, you're not going to be as successful. Then product reviews. Is your product getting good reviews? Your seller, you have a dashboard that has all these different parameters that say if you're a good seller or a bad seller, right? So if your return rate, your response rate to the consumer, etc. Your out of stock order. Then you have the advertising component. You know, the advertising, what keywords are performing. What is your ROAS, return on ad spend from your advertising? Then you have other things like do you have variations? If you have a shirt in 8 colors and 5 sizes, do you have a variation listing that shows everything in one, or you have individual listing? Do you have a brand registry? If you are a brand with a trademark, then Amazon gives you a lot of cool things that you can do. There are other people that don't have a brand, like a reseller selling somebody else's product won't have that. So you get a storefront, right? You can build it to your store. You talk about your manufacturing process, your heritage, your quality of the product, etc. Then you also get A+ page, which is a product listing, and below the product listing, there's a whole page. Again, you can put videos there. You can put additional information to drive the customers, right? Then you have a subscribe and save. If you are a supplement product, you want to probably get customers on subscribe and save. So every month you automatically ship a product. You have so those are the ones that are top of my mind that are important. And I always give this analogy. You have the 30 things that go in a blender goes, and then your ranking comes up. Every hour, Amazon is ranking product every hour. So you may be going back to Greg's question, if I'm number one, can I be number three? Yes, you can next hour, depending on how the algorithm works. But happy to provide you additional information about what Amazon looks, if Thomas can give me your email.
And I'd like to add on top of that, that was just off the top of his head. That was not the exhaustive list.
Yes, and we will make sure that we can connect so that there will be an opportunity to get more of those, or just go to flatworldgroup.com. Outside of advertising on Amazon or Walmart directly, are there key online locations, websites, social sites that marketers should be advertising on to drive Amazon and Walmart sales? So we have the TV question. Now, where should they be advertising online?
I mean, right now with the announcement that Meta did, absolutely Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, but to drive directly to Amazon, I've always heard that it's, you don't drive directly to Amazon because you might be going short to your page, but it's also going to show a bunch of competing products and a banner across the middle, right? And you don't know attribution, you don't know if somebody actually bought it. So would you today, whether it's Walmart, Target, Saks, or Amazon, would you drive paid traffic directly to that marketplace? Any of them?
Eileen, you want to answer that?
I might test it, but I wouldn't be inclined to do that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
That's
I
how
mean,
I always understood it. So I don't know if anything's changed.
I think it would be because your competitor is sitting right there, right?
Right.
Yeah. I have a slightly different answer. Because Meta and Instagram, when you click on the ad, it takes you directly into the shopping cart. You don't see anything else. Your only choice you have is buy or not buy.
Yeah.
I would totally put all my money in there because now I'm getting direct. I get them excited on Facebook, Instagram, and I just get the order on Amazon.
So
I don't know if Walmart.
Yeah, putting something in the cart, not just putting them in the aisle with all the other products.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's interesting when you have like a 6-second ad, right? It's very, it's like your ad on Amazon. You may not have a lot of time to disclose about your product, right? You've got 6 seconds, maybe you've got 15 seconds, and now you're into a buy, not buy decision. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to you, Tom.
All right. The last one. E-commerce, outside of course, 2020, is still kind of bouncing around the 15 to 20% of total retail sales. Projecting out 2027, it'll top 20%. We still need to be in stores. Crystal ball, is there an event that could happen or just a general time frame where you think this balance might flip or even just hit 50-50?
Well, a crystal ball. I didn't find mine either, Ranjit.
I can give you a real example of a real retailer that launched a marketplace. I don't know if it's e-commerce versus versus retail. So this retailer had about 10% of their sales came from e-commerce with lots of stores. And when we launched the marketplace, within a year, 18% of all the e-commerce sales came from marketplace, from 0 to 18. And so that trend could potentially go up. And as a result, e-commerce plus marketplace market share would grow. I don't know if it ever get to 50%, but 25, 30. I've seen places where you get up to get 25%, but I don't know if it will ever get to 50%.
I'm going to predict. And this is coming from an e-commerce guy. I'm going to predict no, because when it was retail, the burden was on the retailer to get people into the store. You were relying on the name Macy's, you were relying on the name Walmart, and you were there to go shopping. This was a very specifically named webinar. You were there to go shopping. When it's in e-commerce, the burden is on you. You have to build brand awareness. You have to pay for traffic to drive somebody to your e-commerce or to a marketplace, or build awareness in marketplace, or price it so competitively that you show up, in a marketplace. And that's expensive, right? So I don't think there's a moment where, that the financials of that reality flip instantly. That's my guess.
Keep your eye on crime.
Eye on what?
Crime.
Oh, crime. Yeah.
That's it's a factor that
Well, so sorry, I know we're running out of time, but I'll tell you, when I had 2 shopping experiences recently. One was Lululemon, and it was delightful. It was wonderful, right? I mean, it was well staffed, it's clean, everything was great. I ended up buying some stuff, and then I went to a supermarket, and it was torture, actual torture. I mean, it was, a line of people out the self-checkout aisles, and as soon as I got to it, it starts beeping because I put my bag down first, right? And I had to wait for someone to come over and unlock it. It was such a horrendous experience, and 2 or 3 of the things I was looking for were locked behind something
Yeah,
because of theft, right? So it was just like,
that's not
I'd
a nice.
rather wait a day.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd rather wait a day. It was just nothing in that store was worth it to me.
Right.
Yeah, that's agreed. I don't know if that's going to toggle it, swap it to 50%, but it's a big problem.
It is. And I was in a high-end grocery store, and somebody right in front of me stole something and walked out. It's like, ugh, this is unbelievable.
Yep.
Anyway.
The experiences may vary. Yes. I'm in CVS way more often than I should be because there's one so close to the house, and I live in Massachusetts, and CVS is maybe a foot race with Dunkin' to have the most locations. But the self-checkout, either you're behind someone who has no idea what they're doing, or to your point, Greg, you put your bag down in the wrong place, and now you got to wait for somebody to come over.
Yeah. And what's funny is when the woman ahead of me at the self-checkout was putting in coins to pay for it, and I was like, oh
my God.
Wow. I always get stopped at the checkout. Line goes up because I'm always buying alcohol. They have to check my ID.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
Well,
That's
leave
good.
that on the note, right?
Yeah. Right. The shopping experience was so bad that he had to acquire alcohol for this event. Oh, thank you all. Really appreciate it. Eileen, Ranjit, Greg, as always, a pleasure to have you here, and a pleasure to have you on the e-commerce council. Thank you for bringing us to the event today. If you're a PDMI member and would like to get involved, you can reach out to me to share your interest in joining any of our 7 member councils. Your next opportunity to attend a PDMI event live online is tomorrow, November 15th at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, when the Brand Response Council airs its latest episode of Take 20. To register, please visit thepdmi.com/take-20. Finally, online registration is open now for PDMI East, April 8th through 10th, 2024, Eden Rock, Miami Beach. We know it's going to be another great event with lots of networking, lots of education just like this, and more. Through November 30th, that's 16 days away. Early bird registrants can save $100 on each badge, just $295 for members, $495 for non-members. Plus, you'll be at the head of the line to book your room at the host hotel. Visit thepdmi.com/pdmi-east to get your badge today. Thank you again for joining us today. Thank you all for speaking today. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.